Hi guys, it's Anne here, and today's video is my 2021 inventory video. This will be part one. I think I'll do it in two parts like I did last year. So I've done this, I think every year I've done my channel, at least the last 2 years. Last year's video, I went through like a big long intro of this video and why I do it. The short synopsis is it's not a declutter video. The purpose of this video is just to give me an idea of what I have so I can manage my collection a little bit better. Sometimes we put things in drawers and forget what we have and then buy a crap ton more when we don't really need to, when we need to finish some stuff that we already have. Or, for example, I put stuff away and then I forget entirely that I have it. And it's like, oh, surprise. So I like to go through my inventory again, just to kind of monitor what I have. And I also use it for project planning purposes too. It helps me sort of plan ahead. It gives me an idea of the things that I might be able to use up this year. So with that, we're gonna start with primers. I'm watching my video from last year, so I'm gonna try and do it in sort of the same order, the same categories. Categories might shift a little because if I have more products in a specific category that I can actually make some subcategories, that might happen. Also, when I do my things that are like, for example, blush, I'll add up my single blushes and then I'll look at blushes that are in palettes and then I'll have a total for the blushes. That'll make more sense when I get to that section. We're gonna start with primers. So these are my primers. This category has gone up quite a bit, although it's a lot of minis. So last year I had 9 primers, 5 of them were minis and 4 were full size. I think I finished up, there's definitely minis here that weren't there last year and there's new ones. So it's not like all the same stuff from last year plus new stuff, if that makes sense. So this year I have 13 primers, 8 of them are mini and 5 are full size. So I have the e.l.f. These are like the putty primer ones. There's a regular one, a matte one, and a luminous one. I have a mini professional from Benefit. That's in my Drop 10 project pan. And I have the full size, which I haven't opened yet. This one is the Hello Fab Pores Be Gone matte primer. I have the Nude by Nature Perfecting primer, the Hourglass Veil primer, Milk Hydro Grip primer, the Becca Velvet Blurring primer, Perfecting base, the Touch in Soul No Problem primer, and then the No Problem Prime Essence, which is in my regular project pan. Then I have the Hello Fab Coconut Skin Smoothing Priming Moisturizer. So I'm pretty confident this will be finished and that I can finish at least, I think I can definitely finish this, and I think I can finish this year, and I do think I can finish this year. So I'll be back down to 4 full size and back down to at least 2, 3, 4, 5 minis. So I'll probably be back down to about the same amount by the end of this year, as long as I don't add any new primers, which I'm not intending to buy any new primers at this point. I'm pretty happy with what I've got here and want to use these up. Okay, here we are at foundations, and to my surprise, I'm doing better than I was last year, or at least my number is lower. So last year I talked about how this category had doubled apparently. Apparently in 2019 I had 10, and last year I had 20. This year I have 18 plus the one mixer. So this is the foundation mixer from NYX. Then I have 2 stick foundations, which are the same ones that I've had since last year. The area that I've gone down, oh sorry, no, I have 19. I miscounted. So I've gone down by 1. So I have 6 what I call either BB or light sort of coverage foundations, which last year I had 8. So I have the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer, the BB Cream from Nude by Nature, the Becca Skin Love, the Dr. Jart Beauty Balm, the Clinique Even Better Glow Foundation, and the Tarte Guard. And then these ones are all what I call like proper foundations, like they're medium to full coverage. I have the CoverGirl Vitalist Elixir and the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made. I'm not sure if these are even available anymore. I don't think that one is. 2 of the L'Oreal True Match, because I'm testing. I had this one. This is in W2, which is definitely not my shade, so I bought C2. This is the Becca Ultimate Coverage Foundation in, I want to say like C2 as well. This one is a mini, and I think this is in a different shade. Yeah, this is in cashmere. I might declutter this little guy since I have the full size now, because this is definitely not the right shade for me. So I think I might declutter that one, but I need to test that out first just to make sure that the color is not right. Then I have 2 of these L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wears, which I did a video on. I have the Makeup Forever HD in a shade I don't think it's available anymore, called R240. And then I have 2 of the L'Oreal Pro Glow, again in 2 shades. The shade 205 I don't think is the right shade for me, so I've picked up 203, and I want to do a test on those as well. So I have 11 of these, which last year I had 10. So yeah, I'm actually pleasantly surprised, because I thought this category was going to be way out of control, because I've literally bought like 6 foundations this year, I think, so far, something like that. But I know I'm going to be finishing this one up soon in my project pan. I'm pretty sure this is close to being empty. I can't decide if I should throw this in my project pan or not, because I definitely need to focus on one of these ones down here, as well as like some of these. Like these I can only use, the Tarte Card and the Laura Mercier and the Nude by Nature are all kind of a little too dark for me. They're more for summertime, so I have to remember to use them this year in the summertime. So yeah, pleasantly surprised by that category. Okay, here we are with concealers. I did mention in my last video a couple of things. Number one, if I give a count now, but then I put a different count on the screen, it's because I've found something that is not here right now, so that may happen. As I said in my last video, all my makeup is in the same general area, but if you've seen my Shop My Stash, it's sort of spread out between like my drawers, my daily makeup, and then I have some stuff like in the acrylic storage, so it is all a little bit spread out, but in the same area, so it's, you know, possible I might miss something. The other thing, apparently, I forgot this. Apparently I have a concealer at work that's still in the office. I have not been in the office since last March. So that concealer is just not part of the count anymore. She's gone. I don't even know what concealer that is, but I'm not considering it a concealer anymore because who knows what it even is. Anyway, so we're actually doing pretty good this year. I have the same 3 color correctors, so I'm categorizing these as color correctors and then these as concealers. And I have 3 minis, so these 3 are minis. The one is the Benefit Boing Industrial Concealer. One of them is the, what do you call this one? Cakeless Concealer, and then the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Illumination. And then I have a NARS in Cannelle. That's a soft matte concealer. I have the L'Oreal Age Rewind, which I think is in the light shade. I think I prefer the brightening one, which I think is more pink-based. This is CoverGirl True Blend Concealer, and I'm not sure what shade. Maybe I'll swatch these. Would that be helpful? I might swatch these. And then the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and then the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer, which is in shade 01. And you'll see it's making a bit of a mess here because I took the, what do you call it? Oh my god, I can't even think of the word. The little plungery thing that stops you. I'm going to think of the word later and put it on the screen. And the lid is also getting cracked on this. So this one's almost done. So I've actually been really, really good on this. So last year I had 12 in total, including the 3 color concealers, color correctors. And this year I have 11. So yay me. Except for last year I had 4 full size and this year I have 5, and so I just used up a bunch of minis basically. So, but at least I have 1 full size done for sure this year. So keeping this category pretty under control. Okay, these are swatches of everything that's directly below them. If the camera is going to stay focused. Oh dear camera, stay focused. You know you can do this. Maybe I'll insert a photo with the names as well, the shade names underneath, so you can see what it looks like. But yeah, looking at all these and seeing how widely distributed the colors are, it's a bit alarming. And I'm not sure any of these are actually a good shade for me. I should try that out and figure out which shade really works well for me. Obviously, I want to say the one thing that's very obvious in my opinion is the CoverGirl one is one that I use more in the summer. It's not one for the wintertime. I would kind of hazard to guess that, I don't know what shade. I need to like play with these on my eyeballs and figure out what shade is actually really good, because I feel like none of them are, to be honest. I feel like the Catrice one is maybe the best one. And you can see, I don't know if you can see here, but the e.l.f. Camo Concealer really oxidizes. It goes much darker, I think, compared to what's in the packaging. Anyway, maybe I should do this for the foundations as well. Maybe I will go back and do this for the foundations. Ugh, that's going to be a pain in the butt. Maybe not. We'll just continue this going forward with, at least with the color products. It's not really potential, or not really any point in doing this for like maybe the face powders, but for like the blushes and the bronzers, I can do this. Anyway, there's that. Okay, here we are with the pressed face powder. So as I mentioned last year, I sort of have two categories. I could technically split this into three, to be honest, at this point, but we'll keep it with two. So these are like a translucent setting powder. There's a matte and there's my camera, a matte and like a shimmery one, I guess. That has been around since last year. Last year I had 5 pressed powders. This year I have 6, so I did finish 2 last year, but I brought in 3. So I brought in this one, and this one since last year. The reason why I say I could probably split this up is I feel like this one, I'm not sure about this one because I haven't really used that one a whole lot, but I feel like this one and this one are more setting powder like, whereas these 3 are more foundation like. This one actually is a bit maybe more setting powder like too. They're not, even though this is like, some are a bit heavier than others, if that makes sense, but it's more like a gradient. It's not like a clear delineation, like this one is definitely foundation and then this one's more setting, right? You know what I mean? So we'll just keep them all together at 6. So I'm actually pretty impressed considering I bought 3 this year, or 1 last year and 2 this year, that I'm only up by 1 in this category. So again, I had 5 last year, I have 6 this year, and then this is still the same. Probably should put this in a project pan. I keep saying that, and someday. Okay, this is my loose powder category, and it's almost the exact same as last year. The only difference is I had 2 of these, and I finished one up, which I think I finished that up this year in my project pan. So I'm not too bad. Again, I had 5 minis last year and 2 full size, and this year I have 4 minis and 2 full size. This one is in a project pan. It's the Becca Hydra Mist powder. So that one will be done. I want to play with this one more. This is a Marcel one. It's a luminous face powder, which I haven't really used a whole lot. I think in the summertime that might be nice. And again, I have to make sure I use this Nude by Nature one, the darker one. This is like a foundation. In the summertime, this is a translucent powder, and then this Hourglass one I think is getting close to being done too, so I want to focus on that. So I think I can definitely finish 2 of these, at least 2 of these this year, and I definitely do want to buy a new loose powder foundation, but I think I need to use some of my pressed ones up more before I buy another loose one. But I don't know, I'm missing the Laura Mercier one, and I feel like I really liked that one when I had it. So I'm kind of wanting to buy that one again, but we'll see. Anyway, pretty happy with this category. Obviously, this is a very manageable amount. Technically, I probably could finish almost all of these this year if I really tried. Okay, setting sprays. So this number in total is actually the exact same as last year, but it's different products. So these 3 I've had since last year. I finished up 2 full-size ones. I had an all-nighter and I had a L'Oreal one. And then these 2 are new to me, but they're both minis. So same total, but different mix-up. This one's pretty close to being done as well. And then this one's in a project pan. So I think I can definitely finish these 2 this year. I've kind of concluded that setting sprays are pointless. At least I feel that way. I'm sure there are some that have, like the ones that are like the industrial type ones are good, but they're not something you can use every day. I feel like for me, setting spray is somewhat psychosomatic. I'm not sure it does a whole lot of difference. It might make a slight difference, but not a whole lot of difference. This one for sure though, like the dewy one, does have a dewy finish. So like, I don't know about like, I guess I should say with setting sprays, I don't know if they actually make the makeup last, but I do find like this one definitely gives a dewy finish, which it's quite nice. I like it. But anyway, that's that category. And I'm happy with this number. If I can keep this to like, 5 or less, I'm happy with this because I can definitely use up setting sprays. No problem. Alright, now we are on to single highlighters. So I've actually gone through and watched the rest of my whole video for my part 1, and how I did it was I went through my single products, then I went through all my face palettes, counted up my face palettes, and then I went through and counted up every individual palette, like item in each palette, to get a total of items. So, for example, if I had a palette that has like a highlighter, blush, and bronzer, I would add that highlight as a add +1 to this total to give myself a total highlighters total. Hope that makes sense when we get to those face palettes. It's kind of a really difficult process, and I know with some products I sort of change classifications, particularly between like bronzers and contours, and then same with like setting powders versus finishing powders. I know I was like not sure, like, you know, sometimes you use something in a certain way and then you decide to use it differently as you use it. So anyway, long explanation for that, but I'm going to do some swatches as well. Hopefully that will make this a bit more interesting. I apologize, my hands are kind of a bit yucky because I still have a rash that I'm dealing with. So I'm going to be swatching on my right arm, so my swatches might not be the best because I'll be using my left hand. But anyway, starting at the top, this one is Ofra Bliss. I've had that for a really long time. It's super old. This is from the NYX Highlight and Contour Kit. I think it's called Ice. It's like the white highlight shade in there. This one is a single highlight from Cliona. I don't know if they're doing this one anymore. I also don't know if I'm in focus. It was for like a charity thing. It's in the shade Minnie. I think Minnie was the name of one of their pets. So it was like a charity type thing. It came in a little cute little bag with little paw prints. So that's those first three right there. These are in order of these ones right here. So this is Pretty Vulgar, and the shade is Glimmers of BS, or Glimmer of BS. This one is the Becca highlight in, I don't know what the shade name is, Year of the Pig. I'm so sad. This one, I don't recall dropping it, but I must have dropped it because this poor thing has had a casualty. So that one's never going traveling with me. So that's the Year of the Pig one right there. I'll put in a screenshot as well so you can see these close up. And then this one is, it's really hard to see. That's the Essence one, the Pure Nude Highlighter. And then this is the newest one that I've got, the Laura Geller. It's really funny because I'm looking on camera and it looks white, but when I'm looking at it from my angle, it's pink. Can I show you that? It looks pink there. And then if we go, it's more white. Maybe not. Anyway, that's those top 7. Okay, moving on to the bottom row of products. So this one right here at the bottom, if you can even see it, it's very subtle, is the Kevyn Aucoin Celestial Highlighter in Candlelight. The candlestick doesn't sound right. This one is Becca Moonstone. Again, not sure how well you can see that one. That's Becca Moonstone. This one has a great big pan in it. I'm debating, do I throw this in a project pan this year and try and finish it up? Because it might be the only highlight that I can finish this year. Actually, that's not true. I think I can finish this too. This one is the Catrice Highlighter. It's one of the newest ones to me. It's right here. Again, I'll do a screenshot because I feel like they're not showing. They look so much nicer in person than they do on camera. This is the Artist Couture, a Diamond Glow Powder in Illuminati. I've had this one for quite some time. I don't use it a whole lot. Again, maybe I should try and use this a bit more. It's one of those things, it's like fantasy self. I envisioned dusting this all over, and I never do. So anyway, this product I debated what category to put it in, but I decided to put it in highlighters because that's probably where I'm going to use it. It's the Hollywood Flawless Filter in shade 02 Fair. That's it right there. It's like probably the most visible thing on my arm right now. Actually, the Catrice one's pretty good too. This is a favorite product of mine, and I've had it forever. It's the Temp2 BoxyCharm Liquid Glow. That's it right there. And I just like mixing this with foundation. I rarely use it just straight up as a highlighter. You can see it's really, really close to my skin tone. Then I have the Milk Makeup Lit Highlighter. That's right here. Again, really close to my skin tone. Can't even really see it. I need to use that one more. I think that's pretty full. And then this is the one that's in my project pan. It's the Buxom, what do they call it, Goddess Divine Goddess Illuminator. That's it right up there at the top by my elbow. Accidentally squished out a ton of product. So, I mean, that's good for my, I guess, project panning goals, but I'm a little sad because I do like this product. Again, I use this normally just as highlight, but I can use it all over the face or mix it with foundation as well. Okay, counts, because that's what I'm really here for, to count all my products. So last year, I had 7 powder highlights and 7 cream/liquid highlights. Now, granted, a lot of those cream and liquid ones were kind of minis. I only have the one, I guess these are kind of mini highlighters, but really I only have the one mini powder highlight. And these 3, I guess, are minis. This is the only full size out of my liquids. Gone down this year on cream and liquid. Only have the 4 cream and liquid. However, we've gone up on the powder side. We are now at 11. So I've gone up by 4 on the powder side. But overall, I've only gone up by 1. So that's pretty good. So last year in total from singles, I had 14. This year in total for single highlighters, I have 15. So I've only gone up by 1. But these types of products are really hard to finish, so I need to really think about that. The fact that I've gone up by 4 in terms of these actual powder highlights. Okay, here is all the single blushes. So these are all sort of like full size. These are all sort of smaller, although I think this is still full size and this is full size. These are the cream ones. That's the sample from Pure Nata. So let's just go through these. We'll go through the swatches. So again, kind of swatched them in order. I've done the top row so far. So the bottom one here is Down Boy. I don't realize how, like, you can see my swatches. I have some really bold blushes. So that's Down Boy from The Balm. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic. I believe this is Pillow Talk. So that's that one right there. Really enjoy that color. I'm like, when I swatch that, I'm like, man, I need to pull that out and use that again. This one, this really deep purple one, is the Folly Fire in the shade Guilty. Again, really, really pretty color. This one right here is from Becca. It's the, I don't know what the formula is called, Luminous Blush, and it's in Foxglove. Really pretty color. It's got like, I don't know if you can see it, a sheen to it. I don't know if that's showing up on camera, but there's a bit of a sheen to that color. This one is the Rare Beauty. So this one right here is Rare Beauty, and that's the shade Nearly Neutral. This one right here is this little mini sample from, what do you call it, Pure Nata, the Rouge Lip and Cheek in Isabella. So that's that one right there. And then the one right here is the Quo Featherweight Blush in Heavenly. So that's that one right there. So those are those blushes right there on that top row. Okay, and on to the bottom row. So this one near my wrist is the Annabelle Perfect Blush in the shade Pronto. The next one up is the Dallas blush from Benefit. That's this one right here. This is the new formula, so it's a little bit more, from what I understand, orangey, which I don't really like. That's that. This is a little mini of NARS Orgasm. It was in a duo. I want to say it might have been a birthday gift. It's from forever long ago. This was actually really hard to swatch. I'm contemplating perhaps decluttering this. Maybe I'll use it for this summer and then I might declutter it. I'm not sure. It was just really, it's quite dry, and it was kind of hard to swatch. This is a favorite of mine. This is the NYX single shadow or single blush in Amber, and it's just a really nice in between. It's like a peachy pink. It's not too pink. It's a little more warm toned. It's really flattering, I think. This one right here is the Tarte blush that everybody had, well, a lot of people had in Party. Again, it's a little more cool tone, but it's a very flattering pink. I think it looks good on a lot of people. This one is technically 2 blushes, but I call it a single because I always use them together. I never use them separately. This is super, super old, but I just like it so much I can't get rid of it. It's from Annabelle. It's in the shade Dollface. So there's the darker color and then the lighter color. I either swirl the 2 together or I apply this one and then I apply the lighter one sort of like on top as a highlight, like, but on my cheeks or like a blush topper. And then the one at the top here I feel like the camera is not doing this one justice. This is pretty bright. This is from Pure Nata. It's another sample. It's the shade Camella, and it's called the Demi Matte Blush. So again, maybe not very visible on camera, but it's got a nice little bit of a satin finish. I wouldn't say it's a sheen. It's definitely nothing like NARS Orgasm, but it's just got like a nice little satin finish on it, which is quite pretty. But yeah, it's a little bit more, I'd say a little bit more fuchsia in person than what the camera is quite picking up. All right, here is the single bronzers and contours. So this is a slightly expanded category from last year. I didn't actually have any single contours because this was in a kit or in a face palette with the other NYX products. This category has definitely increased by quite a bit. Not as bad as blushes though, I guess. So last year I had 4 powder bronzers, which was definitely these two, this one, and something else. I don't really know off the top of my head. I've added this one, I've added this one, I've created the Fragrant bronzer, and I've added this one. Last year I only had the one cream liquid bronzer, which is this one, the Nude Stick. So let's just look at swatches. So I tried to get them all in my arm all at once. So the bottom swatch right here, this is the Butter Bronzer. That is a great shade. It's somewhat contoury, but definitely a good bronzer shade for me. It's just the plain straight up regular Butter Bronzer. This one right here is a favorite of mine, but I have no idea what the shade, like I think it's NYC, and I think it's called like, yeah, it's super old. Like look how gross that is. Super old. I want to say it's called Faux Sun. And I think this is NYC, which doesn't seem to really exist anymore. That's that one right there. I love that one in the summertime because it's got a pretty red undertone. Looks a little orangey, I think, here, but there's definitely a redness to it that's just very nice in the summer. This is not really a bronzer, but I don't know where to put it. It's right here, and I don't know if you can see the shimmer there. So I move my arm. Hopefully you can see. It's really, really shimmery, like really shimmery. It's the Bronzing Body Shimmer from Pure Nata. Again, Fantasy Self. Maybe we will try and use that this summer. It's just a sample, so I should be able to finish it up. This one right here is the Tower 28 Bronzino in West Coast. I was looking at their website. I kind of feel like I might prefer a different shade in this. And I was also looking at their blushes as well. It's okay, but I definitely want to try this more in the summer because I feel like it just wasn't suiting me in the wintertime. But I feel like it might suit me better in the summer. Oops. Then the one next to that, the big giant swatch, is this Nude Sticks, what do you call it? Nudies Matte All Over Bronze color in the shade Sunkissed. That's that one right there. It looks pretty intense, but this sort of blends out to like nothing. Like as you blend it, it will disappear into nothing. So it's really not nearly as intense as what this swatch makes it out to be. That was just basically going with the bronzer. The one next to it is super subtle. I had to build this up quite a bit. This one is the Rimmel Radiance Brick, and this is in the medium shade. And I picked the medium shade because it had a bit more of a red tone to it, whereas the, what do you call it, light shade seemed a bit more yellow toned. And I prefer a bit more of a red tone bronzer, so that's that one right there. It's got a bit of a shimmer, but it's not nearly as radiant or as shimmery as you might expect it to be, compared to like this. This is very shimmery. This one is almost like a contour. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and it's almost like a contour. It's pretty dark, and like it's really pigmented too, so have to use that very sparingly. This is the Annabelle Perfect Bronze bronzer in the shade, I guess just bronzer. Again, when I'm even looking at this lineup, I'm like, I don't love that color. It's a bit yellowy. Maybe not the best for me. I might end up Franken bronzing it with something else at some point. But yeah, that's pretty new to me. Speaking of Franken bronzer, that's what this is right here, the second last shade. And I love that. It turned out really, really well. There's not a whole lot of product yet left. Again, maybe this goes in a project pan. I could probably finish that this year. But yeah, that's that one right there. And then the one at the top here is the contour. This is from the NYX palette, the face palette, the highlight and contour palette, and it's in the shade Hollow. It's the darkest contour. It's
definitely looks a little warmer on screen. I would say it's maybe a little bit deeper in person, but that's a pretty like light swatch. Like you can go pretty intense with this. It's very pigmented as well. So yeah, those are all the bronzers. Yeah, I knew I was going to do this. I missed one. So I also have this bronzer. So for single bronzers, I actually have 8 powder ones, 2 cream liquid, like I said, with cream. So in total, I have 10 single bronzers. And let's just do a quick swatch of this one. This one actually has sort of 2 tones in it. This one's actually kind of hard pressed, but that's the deeper tone, that's the lighter tone, and then that's the 2 mixed together. And by the way, it's the Too Faced Natural Lust Satin Dual Tone Bronzer. It's really, really pretty. If this comes up again, if you see it at Winners or Marshalls, I do recommend it. It is very hard pressed though, so it is very subtle, but it's quite beautiful. Very beautiful. Okay, these are my face palettes. So what I categorize as face palettes is there's a mix of products. So a mix of pressed powder, highlight, bronzer, blush. Yeah, there's a combination of products that goes in here. I do have a couple of palettes that have a combo of products, but they're predominantly one thing or the other, whereas these are fairly well balanced. So that's why I just call these face palettes. This category is really good. This is the same total as last year except for +1, and my +1 is this little e.l.f. guy, which has 1 highlight and 1 blush, although it's pretty deep highlight. I'll swatch this. I'm not going to swatch all these products, but I will at least open them up and show them. Yeah, this is going to take forever if I'm swatching everything, I'm realizing. So that's the swatches. Where are we? That's the swatches of the e.l.f. palette, and that highlighter is a little bit deep for me, but could work as a blush topper probably better. So I have here the Cover FX. This is the Perfector Face Palette in light to medium. So that's this one right here. Then I have this little Color Workshop highlight and contour palette. These are more like pressed, pressed face powders, and these are sort of, I'd say that's a contour and that's a bronzer. I have this e.l.f. palette. This is the Soft and Subtle Beautifully Bare Face Palette. So that's that one there. It's real pretty. My Hourglass palette, this is the Ambient Edit, Lighting Edit Volume 4. So this one came out in 2018. That's that one there. Then I have the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow palette. So it's got a highlighter and a bronzer. Love that one. This one's in my Project Pans. You're all familiar with this. The IBY Highlight and Contour palette. So 3 contours. I would say this is more of a bronzer, to be honest. And 3 sort of face powders. They're not really highlights, they're face powders. This one's upside down. This is the Tarte Hamptons Weekender palette. It's got a blush, bronzer, and highlight. Great for travel. Really like this. The bronzer in this is also pretty intense and pretty deep. So you have to be kind of careful with that. Same with the blush, to be honest. Let's swatch this one because it's a pretty one. Again, you can see how pigmented, hopefully you can see how pigmented those are. Where am I here? Oh, this is awkward. There we go. Pretty intense colors in that palette. And then this is just the Anastasia Contour Cream Kit in Light. This was in my Project Pan last year. You can see that one in the middle is pretty decimated. Looks disgusting. Still not sure if I'll hang on to this or not. I need to use it. See if I want to keep it or not. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll go through each individual one of these and add things up. So like for example, this one, I have 3 highlighters, a contour, a finishing powder, and a blush. So this will go into the blush category, and then these will go add up to the highlighters. It's a huge pain in the butt to do, but it really puts things into perspective, at least for me. So again, face palettes, I'm only up by 1. I have 9 this year. So same as last year, I only have 1 bronzing palette. This is from that Color Workshop kit. I call this a bronzing palette even though there is this one shade in here that I would call a contour, but predominantly these are bronzers. So just same guys last year. I don't think I've used this since last year. I need to use these little palettes. I haven't used them at all, I don't think, in 2020. And yeah, I need to put them in the Shop My Stash so I can remember to actually use them and decide if I actually want to keep them or not. So these are the blush palettes, even though, again, some of these have highlights in them. So for example, this palette, you're all very familiar if you're watching my Project Pan. This is the Tarte Blush Bazaar, and it has 2 highlights in it, but it's predominantly a blush palette, so I categorize it as a blush palette. Yeah, this is the Jouer Blush Cheeky Summer Blush Duo. Really enjoy this. Again, one got smushed. This is the e.l.f. palette I rarely use, and I need to use this one more. Again, the colors are pretty intense. Let's swatch these ones. I don't know if I've ever swatched these ones. We're in focus there. Yeah, let's swatch these ones. So I tried to be very careful not dusting these off, but hopefully you can see how powdery they have showed up. Hopefully we're in focus. But they're very bright. These would be really nice in the summer. I need to use this in the summer. I feel like that's like a lot of my makeup. So I have this contradiction. I have a lot of makeup that I want to use in the summer, but I find I wear less makeup in the summer just by the nature of 2 different things. It's warm and I don't want to put things on my face, and I go home a lot in the summer, and when I'm home I just don't want to travel with makeup. I don't want to take a lot of things with me, and when I'm there I just don't bother with makeup. So anyway, that's, I don't know what it's called. It's just called the blush palette. It's in the light, you know, there's usually like a light and a dark. And then I just have this little Color Workshop one. Again, I would classify this little guy in the corner as a highlight. So yeah, just gone up by 1 in this category. And for highlight palettes, I have the same number of palettes as last year. It's 4, but I do want to mention, I don't know how I counted these last year, but in the Carly Bible palette, there's highlights as well, but I categorize this as an eyeshadow palette. Like, it's primarily, first and foremost, an eyeshadow palette for me. But I definitely have highlights in here, and I would say, like, these are bronzers. Like, yeah, both of them are deep enough to be a bronzer for me. This is too deep to be a highlight. So yeah, there's like, what, 4 highlights and 2 bronzers. So I need to put these in the totals. I just don't know if I did that last year. I can't remember. But anyway, these are the 4 highlight palettes. Same highlight palettes as I had last year. This little Color Workshop one, which again, I have not used. Where are we here in the center? Let's focus on this little guy. There's that guy. This is one that I keep saying I don't know if I'm going to keep, get rid of. I don't know what to do. This is a little e.l.f. shimmer palette. I've had it for a long time. I did hit pan on 1 shade. Could go on a Partners in Cream Project Pan, maybe. This is the Aurora Glow Kit from ABH. Again, really enjoy that. I like this because it's different. And this one, like, these are really good. These are the Sun Dip. This is the Sun Dip kit from Glow Kit from Anastasia. I just don't use these regularly. They're really intense, but they're really nice. I should maybe just move them. Like, I have a single. I wonder if these fit into the Pure Nata little single thing that I have. I can't even think of the words right now. It's getting the end of the day here. But yeah, like this color Tourmaline is so nice. I don't know if you can see that. Like, whew. But it doesn't, like, you would never think it's that nice. I generally, like, gravitate towards, like, Moonstone and Summer. And I guess this is maybe more of a bronzer. Let's just swatch all of these. So hopefully you can see them. Like, they're really, really, really shiny. Really intense. But they're all pretty deep. Like, from my skin tone, I can't really wear them all year round. Except for maybe, like, Summer and Tourmaline. But I find, like, the other 2 are kind of deep. But I count this as a highlighter. Maybe I should count this as a bronzer. I've never tried wearing this as a bronzer. It might be kind of nice. Or mixed in with one of my other bronzers. That could be mixed with the Annabelle one. I'm thinking things, guys. I'm thinking things. Anyway, 4 highlighter palettes. Okay, now I have to do the hard part and add up all the individual things. Ugh. 10 years later. Okay. Ugh. Now I know why I'm not an accountant. I can do math, but I just, numbers, after a while, your brain just goes, too many numbers. So apparently there was 20 palettes that we went through when we went through this whole palette category. Once I've added everything up, my numbers are a lot higher than last year in some categories. So for example, in total, in the palettes, there were 33 highlighters, so 33 highlight pans, like 4 there, 33. So when I add those up to my single highlighters, I have a total of 48 highlighters. That's a lot of highlighters. The category that wins the award for the biggest increase is blushes. So I had 26 blush palette pans plus 14 single blushes. So in total I have 40 blush total. In total I have 40 blushes. Last year I had 28. Whoopsie. So we've definitely increased here. So I need to like time out on blushes, but like there's so many blushes I want. Yeah, this is gonna be a problem. Bronzers were pretty good shape. So I had 12 pans of bronzers in these palettes, plus my 10 single bronzers. So in total I have 22 bronzers. For contours, there were 8 8 contour pans in the palettes, plus my 1 single contour. So I have 9 contours, which is not so bad. They're all pretty small. Face powder. So there's a couple extra categories I include here because even though I didn't talk about face palettes, talked about those quite a while. Face powders, I talked about that a while ago. So in these palettes, I have what I consider 5 face powders, and in my single press powders, I had 6. So in total, I have 11. Which I think is the same as last year. Yes, same as last year. And then I had 2 finishing powders, which was that Bare Minerals thing in the what I call singles, even though technically that's a palette as well. Plus 3 finishing powders in the palette. So in total I had 5 finishing powders, which is actually 1 less than last year. I had 6. The other thing I, again, need to mention this year is these 3 contours I consider concealers. So I need to go back and add that to my concealers. So this year I had 11 single concealers, including my color correctors. And with these 3, that gives me 14 concealers. So the other fun number is in all of these palettes, there are 90 individual items. So there were 33 highlights, 26 blushes, 12 bronzers, 8 contours, 5 face powders, 3 finishing powders, and 3 concealers. So a total of 90 pans. Like if I got rid of all my single products, I could survive very well off of all of these palettes. I feel like palettes in my collection are very neglected, and I need to... Yes, Bub, I know it's dinner time. I need to use them a bit more. So with that, Harley is telling me it's time to wrap up this video. I am going to wrap up this video. I hope you liked this sort of overview of my inventory of part 1. Part 2 will be eyeshadows and lip products. So that's sometimes a bit more fun. This one's maybe not as fun to some people. I think it's fun. But anyway, that's part 1 of my inventory / collection for 2021. If you like this video, feel free to give a little thumbs up down below. That's a sideways thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you did subscribe to my tiny little channel here in Toronto, Canada. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.